Alright, so my card base is assembled or cut and scored the same way as video number 3. The card base is exactly the same in each and every card. I'm just changing some of the layers. So I'm going to put just red where I want to put my stamped and watercolored images. So that is going to go in the center of my card, and it's going to go on the 2 end panels. And like I said in the last card, I always start with my center panel first, and then I do my smaller ones. I find it's just a little bit easier to keep things straight if I start with the center ones and kind of work my way out. Oh, I'm gonna put adhesive on the back of that. And I'm using the same Distress Collage medium that I used for the first card. Doesn't matter what liquid glue you use. If you have a different one that's your favorite, I would just definitely be using a liquid glue because you want to be able to shimmy and move things into place while or before it dries. If you're using a tape adhesive, it's a little bit less forgiving. You can't really move things into place. And in my experience, the types of tapes that you can lift and move things, they tend to not be as permanent over time. So they tend to start falling apart after a little bit. So I'm going to do this center one here. I want to put a sentiment down here, so I'm going to leave that one till the end. I put it on the back of that first. So you can put your mat down and then put your print over top of it. It will work. I just prefer to put my print onto my mat first and then move it, but either way will work. It's really just personal preference. I should have gotten a print. All good. In the end, it's not going to matter which one went on first and which one didn't. So the print that I'm using has 2 sides. So if you're using a print that has 2 sides to it, you want to make sure that you're gluing down the right side. So like for instance, that's quite a bit different than the holly print here. So just be careful of that. I know there's a few parts of this print that are not quite as, like this is the other side here, and it's not quite, it is different, but it's not quite as different, so just be a little bit careful. And then we've got this guy here, center him a little bit, and glue him down. So I have a little sentiment here that I've already stamped and embossed. It says Winter Wishes, just because the scene is a little bit wintry. And I'm doing this card class, I'm creating it in October, so it's kind of coming up to Christmas season. Obviously this class will be up for a long time, so you may be taking it when it's not the holiday season. Again, this can be a Valentine's card, it can be a birthday card, it could be a wedding card. You're not limited to just making these as Christmas cards. And now we are going to put our little squares down. Starting in the center on the top for this one. And typically if I wasn't doing this on video, trying to not make the video too long, I would be taking a little bit more time and care with this. I would be a little bit slower, but I don't want this video to be too long and have to be broken up into sections, so I'm doing it quite quick. And also, once you've done this a few times, you don't have to think about it quite as much as the first time. The first time you do, I mean any different card, the first time you do it, you have to think about it and make sure that you're doing it the right way. But once you've done it a few times, you don't have to do that quite as much. And again, this one I did a print with it. Last time I did a distress background with any of the secondary mats. This print can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't, I mean, it could even be a solid if you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be a themed print. You could stamp some paper to create your own print and do it that way. The sky is the limit. On the first card I made, I had the silver in some of these areas. You could even change it to gold. There's so many different metallic papers out there now that are absolutely beautiful. It would look gorgeous with this, and it just adds a little touch of pizzazz to it. But it's whatever you want. You don't have to be stuck with only printed papers or only creating your own background for this. Nearly done, only 3 more sections to fill. And then after this, the next video, I'm going to be adding the stamped images. And then once those are glued down, I'm going to add some stickles. And stickles is glitter glue that has just a fine tip so you can get really detailed with it, and I think it just adds a little bit of sparkle to it. You definitely don't have to add it, but I just like the way it just kind of plays off stamped images or dies or whatever. It just adds a little bit of something to it, and it's something that's really, really easy to do. All right, so we've got our card base done. This here, you can't see the sentiment. When I've got all my pieces on there, I'm just going to take my watercolor brush and take one of the colors that I've used in the images, and I'm going to go over that, and it's going to make the sentiment here pop. You could do this before actually gluing it on, but I'm somewhat confident in myself that I can do it with it glued on. So I'll see you in the next video.